You good to go, guys?
Oh, yeah, we saw that.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. We will call to order the Cleveland Public Schools regular school board meeting here at the Media Center. Today's Monday, April 28th, 2025 at 7 o'clock. We'll start with our adoption of our agenda. Are there any additions to our agenda?
We do have 2 additions, 1 retirement and 1 resignation.
Okay, anything else?
And then 7.2, non-renewal of non-certified exempt employee.
All right, looking for a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Andy makes a motion.
I'll second.
Kevin seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay, section 3.0, community comment. So this is the part of the meeting where we invite the community, which thank you for everybody for attending. Welcome to our school board meeting. This is the part of our meeting where we invite the community to come forward if they have anything they want to discuss or bring forward to the school board for attention. A little bit about this part of the meeting. We keep each speaker to a 3-minute time limit with a 15-minute per limit time limit per topic. With that, I'll go ahead and open it up if there's any community comment. If you do have community comment, I guess you stand up or at least raise your hand and introduce who you are.
I'm Katie Anderson. My kid is from here. I'm trying to just.
I think once you come to the middle.
That'd be fantastic. If you were.
Sorry, newbie. Sorry, I should say new to the school board meeting, not the school. And I have notes because I know myself. Well, thank you for letting me have a few minutes tonight. I just wanted to bring to the attention and ask that you would reconsider not allowing foreign exchange students next year. Our family has hosted a couple of times. Both times they've attended Cleveland, and it's been a really great experience for not only the exchange students, but our family and others in the school as well. Both of those, our family and other students from the school, still remain in contact with, creating lifelong relationships, which is really cool to see. When we choose to host, we're not just opening our home, we're opening our doors for everyone who crosses paths with these students. They build real friendships with classmates, teammates, teachers, and community members. They bring fresh perspectives, new traditions, and stories from places our kids might never get to experience otherwise. Those connections don't end when the year does, they continue on. Like I said, personally, we still speak with them daily. When we talk about so much in our society about inclusion right now, I feel like not inviting them in really contradicts that, and I feel like it really closes off opportunities for our kids. And I don't see any better way to really embrace that feeling that society is pushing for right now than to invite students from other countries in to experience our small town. I understand that concerns were raised about past experiences, but I just wanted to be clear that the program that we've worked with in the past and are working with now, SHARE, they have a very strict code of conduct. The exchange students actually agree to higher standards than most local students. And if they break the rules or even worse laws, they can be sent home immediately. SHARE also provides incredible support with local, regional, state, and national coordinators ready to step in whenever needed. In fact, our regional coordinator is here with me today in case there's any other questions that people might have. But the truth is, hosting these students enriches our entire community. It teaches empathy, it broadens their perspectives, and it creates lifelong bonds. We have a chance to show our students what real inclusion and community look like, not just in words, but in action. And I believe that Cleveland is the kind of school to lead by example.
Thank you for that. Anyone else?
Sorry, I'm Elizabeth Fortune. I'm just wondering if I want to speak about the non-renewal of the non-tenured teachers. Is that now or during that conversation?
That would be the time.
Okay, perfect.
That would be the time.
So I have become aware of a teacher that I think is a phenomenal teacher and has done a ton for our school in her time here. Not having her contract renewed, understand that there's not reasons given for that non-renewal. So Miss Elias, is a teacher of my daughter's, and, we've had excellent experience with Miss Elias as a teacher. I feel that she brings in excitement into her classroom every day, tries so hard to have new fun games, ways to teach kids that really brings the joy of learning. And so to hear that that's potentially going to not be renewed for really no reason given at this point, I feel is sad for Cleveland, for our school, and something that I would like to have future conversation about.
For coming in. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? For community comment? Well, again, thank you for coming in to talk about your comments from the community comment section of our meeting. It's a part of a meeting where we as a board take in information, don't necessarily reply back to it during community comment unless the specific conversation warrants it or the specific details are asked. So it can feel a little uncomfortable, so I apologize for that, but thank you for coming in.
Can we ask for details as far as why the non-tenure teachers are being, or why that's happening?
We can't because of data privacy. Those teachers may ask for reasoning after the approval in writing.
After it's finalized,
After
or?
it's finalized. That's the difference between a non-tenured or a non-continuing contracted teacher, a probationary teacher. We don't have to give reasons. We will after the fact, but so they will, if they choose, they can have a written response.
Even if there's no corrective actions or things ahead of time, it can just be out of
I can't go into details on
no
that.
reason.
Last call for community comment. Okay, hearing none, we'll move forward to our consent agenda. Consent agenda items are approved by one motion unless the board member requests specific action separately. Note that we'll be approving all of these in one shot. If there's something that you'd like to discuss, please go ahead and bring that forward. So as part of our consent agenda, we'll be approving regular board minutes from the last board meeting, approval of bills and payments, approvals of contracts. Those contracts as presented today are Hope Singh, paraprofessional, as a new hire. Resignations from Ashley Genlin, ECFE, Dean Williams, paraprofessional. Rich Kern, resignation as a Black Athletic Director, and Jeff Skinner as a retirement. I guess the first thing I say is thank you to all of those folks for what you've done for Cleveland. Appreciate it. Any other comments or discussion or other topics or items? If not, I look for a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Nancy made a motion. Second.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to 5.0 of our board meeting presentations. Number one, we have Anders Early Learning Center.
Most of you know me. For those of you that don't, I'm Kate Anderson. I own Anders Early Learning Center. I think that what I decided I was going to do is kind of start from the beginning, because then at the end of it, I'm hoping that whatever decision is made, that we can figure out a solution to the almost 6 years of whatever's been happening, we can get it fixed or work out a solution to come together and work together on it. So my husband and I have been in the community. Our children all attend Cleveland Public School for at least the last 18 years. We have 2 still here and 2 graduated out. We are taxpayers in the community. We opened the center or built the center in the community. So we're invested in being here. it first started, our early communications with the school. I sat down with Brian at the time. My first meeting was July of 2018 to talk about the plans for opening a childcare center in Cleveland, Minnesota. After a conversation with him, he invited me to the school board meeting, which was held on November 19th in 2018. And at the school board meeting, we talked about the collaboration the two could have, obviously, me being money on my own. The school wouldn't fund the center, but obviously working together to keep children in the Cleveland community from birth to 12th grade. It was talked about that they would help with providing a nurse for our health consultant. Talked about school lunches. We talked about the school was obviously the referendum had passed by that point. And so they had old equipment that they were going to give us, some smart boards, some random things that if they didn't need, they were going to reach out and we would be the first ones to be able to claim the items. So going forward, the school board gave me their support. We agreed that we wouldn't run a separate preschool program, meaning what Linnell and Jesse do. Obviously, we have preschool in our building because they need childcare, whether they attend any preschool program. And so the original building was planned for 52 kids. After my conversation with the school board, a month before we opened, I received an email from, at the time, Brian, asking me to do a rate decrease for my preschool kids so that families didn't have to choose between the two. I respectfully declined that. I think that it was, at the time, we weren't even open yet. We didn't have a full house yet. And so we we had a good conversation about it and I didn't change my preschool rate. The center opened in June of 2019. I met with Linnell and Jesse to kind of make sure that we were touching the same things, at least making sure that our letters and our numbers were the same, because we did share kids back and forth off the bus. That hasn't changed. I meet with them every summer before school starts to make sure that that's being done. And then COVID hit. The school invited me to be part of the conversation about what to do with the school and the center to stay open during COVID. We kept our doors open. We were able to keep kids who were in place, whose parents couldn't stay home when they went to kindergarten, they stayed back. We were in all the conversations that the school had regarding COVID. The center, I mean, we lost kids obviously, but the city stepped in and helped fund some of the missing money that the centers and all childcare centers were seeing. In the summer of 2020, it was August of 2020, or no, May of 2019, Brian had reached out and asked if I would help with the summer SAC program. I have email correspondence as we met about it. We talked about the brown building next to my building was for sale. They said that there was no money, obviously, to go buy it or to expand. You guys were running out of room for the SAC program and you wanted it to be better. So we kind of talked about the chance of maybe, me helping out or us taking it over. In an email, he gave me his blessing to go ahead and take over to offer school age care over at the center. On top of that, we needed a little bit more space at the center. So another conversation was had about us putting an addition on. I made it very clear what our plans were, that I could take 30 school age kids. Brian told me that I had the right attitude for the entrepreneurial opportunity. So we started planning an addition. The addition would house 20 more preschool kids. It gave us a lunchroom that we desperately needed, which was the main reason why we put the addition on. And the lunchroom in the summer could have could have been used for 30 school age kids. The lumber was delivered the summer of 2022. We walked children over to the T-ball fields, to the T-ball camp, and the after-school SAC coordinator was over there. She saw the lumber being delivered and asked me a question, asked me what was going on. I told her we were putting an addition on, and she said, "Are you taking more kids?" I said, "Yep." I said, "We're gonna take 20 preschool kids, and then I have the opportunity to take some school-age kids." That conversation happened on June 7th. The next conversation I had about it was on July 9th at our son's baseball tournament on a weekend. We were sitting in the parking lot. I was asked again about it. I'm not much of a liar, so I didn't lie. And I told her what we were doing, that we were gonna possibly offer after-school summer care. 2 days later, I got an email from the principal telling me that I was not able to communicate with the after-school coordinator. I emailed back after I had 24 hours to take a deep breath. A very short email just thanking him. The next day I got another email, a little less professional, about kind of staying in my own lane. That wasn't the conversation that was had. She asked a question and I gave her the honest answer as to why we were doing what we were doing. August 1st, the center phone rang. I wasn't getting groceries and my assistant director, Megan, answered the phone, and it was Brian. And Brian informed Megan that our lunch rate was going to go up and that if I had any questions, I could go. Up until that point, Monica and I have always worked together with a contract as to how much our lunch was going to be. I never worked with Brian about lunch. It was always between Monica and I. Monica checked in to make sure that we were getting what we needed up until that phone call from Brian. August 2nd, I sent an email to him asking about the increase. He said it was a board decision. On September 6th, I reached out to Callie Remiger, who up until that point was our nurse and our health consultant for the center, asking her to review the health logs, because the relationship that we had with Callie was strictly, she would check in once a month, sign off on our policies and procedures, and during COVID, she was a blessing because I was able to kind of decide where to go from, what we were seeing and some guidance with that. Callie didn't spend more than 5 minutes over at the center a month. On September 6th, I got an email from Callie saying that she was no longer allowed to be our health consultant. And that came from administration. We have invited teachers over. We invited ECFE to let us know if they need help. The communication has never been there. We were told by teachers that they were not allowed to come over and read to kids at the center. The guidance counselor was invited over. She could not come. She was told that she could not, that she was not allowed to do that. We opened the addition in December of 2022 with the possibility of the 30 school-age kids, and we opened up 20 more preschool kids, a room for 20 more preschool kids. We chose not to offer summer care because of the rift that it had caused clearly between us and the school. And in fear of the only thing I had left from Cleveland Public School was our lunch, we decided not to open it to try to maintain some sort of peace between the two buildings. Throughout the past 6 years, I have been a preschool teacher for almost 20 years. I've worked for a religious facility for a majority of those until I opened the center. I put my heart and soul into the things that I have provided for the children and the families of this community. The center attends the homecoming parade. We support homecoming. We are a Dig and Pink sponsor. We put our name on the shirt. We have donated money for Pig, Dig, and Paint. We donated to Coaches versus Cancer. We every year do a scholarship, dollars for scholars, for someone going into the early childhood field. We're an FFA t-shirt sponsor. We're a 4-H sponsor. We donate for Toys for Tots every year. We work with Miss Whitus in their child development class. for the last 2 years. They've come over and we've had a conversation and volunteer opportunities that the kids can have. We have done work-based learning for the last 3 years, which we've paid the work-based learning girls to come over and work with our teachers who I brought today just to support that not only does the decision of all day wrap around preschool affect me, it affects them as well. And up until today, or as of today, we have also we've also given 23 Cleveland graduates a job. A majority of those come back every summer during college. When they're home, they come back for Christmas, they come back for Thanksgiving break. 23 students from Cleveland Public School have worked with the Anders Early Learning Center in the past 6 years. The benefits of having us in this community is we send almost anywhere from 16 to 20 kids to your kindergarten programs. We fill an entire classroom of children. Many are open enrollment kids. Parents are able to leave their children from birth to 12th grade in Cleveland, in the Cleveland community. Our taxes, which are high, go to pay for Cleveland Public School. What this looks like if you do an all-day wraparound preschool. I understand that you're looking at 10 kids next year. The following year, it could be 20. The year after that, it could be 30. You can't stop it. If you take 20 preschool kids from us, it doesn't pay for our addition. If you take 30 preschool kids from us, our teachers don't get paid. Childcare centers are mainly running off preschool programs alone. The infants, you're in the hole. You never make money with an infant room. Toddlers, you're barely seeing a break-even line. And preschool, because the ratios are higher, you see your profit. You see where your teachers can get paid. We are not funded by the state of Minnesota. There's no other revenue coming in besides the tuition that our parents pay. Hey, teachers, childcare teachers alone in any childcare center are not paid what they're worth, but they do it because they are probably the hardest working people that I know, because they don't get summers off. They are there till 5:30 at night. If this community were to lose that, which will happen if you take preschool children out of childcare centers, those families that we house now will end up in other communities. They'll go to Mankato or they'll go someplace else where their parents are going to work. And then they're going to go to school in those communities because those are the relationships that they have created. I'm hoping that this doesn't happen. I know I have been part of a fellowship in the state of Minnesota last year. I've been in legislation the last 2 years trying to come up with solutions to make child care centers a bigger topic than what they are. I do not think that schools should take all-day preschool. They're too little. They're too little. The pressure of over-structuring those kids, they need to stay little. What do you do with them when they're at school all day long? They need to be able to have a place to just be little. I'm asking for this not to happen in Cleveland, because you won't be able to stop it once you start taking all-day preschool. And I get you're trying to generate revenue. There's got to be other ways to do that without the expense of my business. And I'm more than happy. I met with Dustin last year. I've met with most of the school board members at some point over the last 6 years. There's got to be a better way to make the relationship better. That's what's happening right now. That's all I got.
Discussion, questions for Kate? First of all, thank you for coming in and presenting that to us. I know I appreciate it, and I think I probably speak for everybody else up here that appreciates it as well. And what you do for Cleveland. I think we all see it. Plain as day. I think hopefully this conversation that we just got done having in this presentation helps guide us through our SAC wraparound conversation here in just a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, presentation 2, Chromebook 101 integration plan.
All right, I was tasked with trying to create a Chromebook integration plan for Cleveland. And a lot of schools are already way ahead of us. They've done this already. And we have definitely looked at this in the past and not done it because of I'm the only man here to repair the Chromebook when they break, and mostly the main reason was budget. It's expensive. It was more expensive than us just having Chromebooks in a cart and leaving them there. But working with Dustin, who came from St. Clair, who was one of the schools that's definitely been a one-to-one program for a long time, and chatting about the budget, we found some ways that make it definitely work. So I started creating the integration plan again, along with a list of help. The best part is so many schools have already done this, so we're able to look and see what's worked for other schools and take what they've done and fit it to our needs here in Cleveland. So basically I had Michelle attached it in your guys' school board document there. This a PDF of all the stuff I'm going to kind of talk about really quickly. My goal is to have you guys approve our plan so we can move forward with this summer, and starting next school year, will be 1-to-1, 7 through 12. So in order to do that though, we have to slowly do it. We can't just buy all 7 through 12 graders a new Chromebook because it's too expensive. And we already have an existing fleet. So what we're going to do is over the next 5 years, we're going to plan to transition to the school to 1-to-1 devices. And basically after going back and forth with this quite a bit, we decided that starting in 4th grade through 12th grade, we'll assign a Chromebook to a student. That way they hold accountability for it. A lot of schools have said if you assign it to a kid, they treat it so much better than when it's in a cart. When it's in a cart, somebody breaks it, they just put it back in the cart and grab a new one. When we assign it to them, that's for the older grades, 4th and up. The younger kids don't really have a problem with them. They take good care of them. But so the 1-to-1 will only be 7 through 12, but starting in 4th grade, we will be assigning them one as well. So the plan basically would be 4 through 12 will be assigned a Chromebook. Students in grades 4 through 6 will keep their Chromebook in the school. The teacher can decide, hey, snow day or e-learning day coming, take the computer home just like the other classes. But for the 4th through 6th grader, they'll stay in the cart. Students in grades 7 through 12 will be able to take them home whenever they want. That's expected of them. We've already kind of gone over this here internally, and we will keep going over it. Basically, we've had the same questions as what if they forget to charge it and all that stuff. And we've already been addressing a lot of those issues already. Getting our teachers ready is a big part of this integration plan, is making sure they're properly trained. And I'll talk about that here in a second. So with the lifespan, we decided a lot of schools have been doing about 5 years for a Chromebook before they start to get too old and too slow. We're going to try to, with this plan, get 6 years out of it because budget-wise, it's just too expensive for us if we only go 5 years. That might need to be adjusted over the next couple of years, but we'll be able to at least start with trying to make them last 6 years. So right now our plan is the 7 to 12 graders, we will assign a device. We'll have a device maintenance plan. We'll basically, they'll have we'll assign it through campus, right? You'll assign a $50 charge to them for the device maintenance plan for 7 to 12 graders. They'll pay that on Infinite Campus before the school year starts. That will give them protection on any, if they lose the device, if they break the device or whatever, that would cover the warranty for that. The plan, I do have a sheet called device maintenance plan. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that document in there. It's attached to the PDF. But it basically talks about the first incident is fully covered by their $50 deductible. If they have another incident, then there would be a minimum $50 charge for them on top of their deductible. So let's say the part costs $30, then they would only pay $30 for the second incident. Or if it costs $120, they would have to pay $50 for that second incident. And then for the third incident, the minimum charge for them would be $125, so unless the part is cheaper. So that's how we would handle the device maintenance part of it. The other option they can do is if they want to insure it themselves, they can provide proof to the school that they have the device insured, and then they'd be covered. It also talks about, accidental damage if somebody, damages someone else's computer and all that stuff. That's all the details are in that sheet there. A little bit thing too is that, the device maintenance plan doesn't cover any accessories or anything. So if they lost their charger or whatever, that'd be something separate. If you look at, item number 3, section D, we have our 7-year prediction on our cost. So in order to make it where we can afford it, because like I said before, I looked at doing a one-to-one program for a long time here, and it was always just too expensive. Working with Mr. Rothart, we found that if we're able to move some of our budget from, purchasing a lot of these expensive books and switching them over to digital learning, which a lot of our teachers are already doing anyway. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. We're able to save money, and then we can take some of that money and put it towards these Chromebooks, and then making sure that the kids are getting a Chromebook that is going to be fast and everything, that can handle what they're doing. The plan would be they would get a new Chromebook. Fourth grade, we'll get a new Chromebook each year, and then 7th grade, we'll get a new Chromebook each year, and then 10th grade, we'll get a new Chromebook each year. So the student's only having it for 3 years before they're rotated around the school. The reason why this is a great time to be doing this now is I applied for an emergency connectivity fund during COVID in 2020, and we were able to receive about 250 Chromebooks for free, which is awesome. And we have them and we're using them. They're probably our best Chromebooks right now. The problem with those is they're all going to end of life at the same time. So we were giving them in 2020. So in the next couple of years here, we're going to see, hey, these are starting to fail a lot more. They're starting to get older. So we're going to have the big problem where we're going to be like, hey, we're going to have a big expense. So this would get around that as well. I also attached some Chromebook agreement plan. My goal would be for the 7th through 12th graders, when they sign in the first day of school, they can't even use the Chromebook until they agree to these terms. These will be posted online. We'll also send them out to the parents and families liaison at campus, so they can know what all the basically the acceptable use and all that, and all the policies that we have on internet usage and bullying and all that would be in there. And then I also attach a sheet where it's basically just parent tips and responsibilities, where it basically just goes over recommendations for if the student's bringing a Chromebook. Kind of like a cell phone, I guess. They can park it maybe at night so they can't use it all the time. They're not using their room, that kind of stuff. Talk about how we're doing that and everything. In order to make this work, though, one of the big things that we're worried about is getting the teachers on board. So we've already started bringing in some classroom tools, digital tools to do that. We rolled out Securely Classroom, which basically allows a teacher to, when they start a class, let's say, for example, they're starting English, they hit start on their class, all the kids on the Chromebook, it basically locks them in, says they're starting, and then they can basically push out URLs and it just opens up their computer to that site. They can also see what's on their screen during that class period. So if I was teaching, I could say, hey, I can see you're on ESPN, please stay focused, and then close that tab or force them to go back. You can lock them into things if you wanted to. You can chat with the actual student. All this is logs for security reasons and stuff. But basically, we rolled it out about a month or so ago, and our teachers I've already gotten a lot of positive feedback saying, hey, we had kids that were playing games and doing all, our filter is really good. It blocks a lot of things, but kids can still get around that stuff. With our one-to-one plan, we also plan to ban bring your own device, which is a big issue with security mainly. The reason why we never have banned it is because it just, you can't afford to force, we don't have enough devices sometimes. We probably do now, but we've always allowed to bring your own device because we didn't have enough devices. This would solve that issue. Kids won't be able to use their own device now, which when they bring their own device in, they can have all sorts of games installed and they just sit there and they play them very flat. It'll prevent that. So that's basically a lot of that. What we did is we brought in some St. Clair teachers and went over some of this. I actually was gone that day at a meeting, but the teachers came in. I heard a lot of good positive things about it. They came in and spoke to our teachers and basically said how it works for them. Some gave us some pointers and got really good feedback on that, on digital learning and digital teaching. I just got a printer set up for students. We're going to be rolling out before the end of the school year, hopefully, so students can actually try it out. We're going to install a printer by the elevator on the high school commons area. That way they can do some printing. I know one of the big things, a lot of our teachers that don't necessarily want to adopt the change, they are worried like, oh, when people want to have paper and sit down and still be able to write stuff, and sort of allow them to be able to print some of the material and do that way. So it's not like we're just going to force our teachers, hey, you're going to do everything on a computer. It's not like that at all. They're still going to be able to teach the same way. It's just a way to get a device in everyone's hands. So when we do have, e-learning days or snow days, we don't have to worry about limiting what we're teaching. So yeah, that's our plan. I don't, I know that we've done we've worked hard on this and stuff. I know Liz and I have met on this quite a few times, and I met with Dustin, and none of this is, I know a lot of people that I've talked to right the first time they're scared, like, oh, we're not gonna be able to do that here. This is not new. This is the only people that are scared are the students, because they won't be able to play games on their devices, and the teachers because it's something new. It's really not that hard. The students are going to adapt right away. It's going to be pretty straightforward. I do think it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be giving a lot of power to the teachers to be able to keep the students focused. So that's my plan, and I hope that you guys see anything that you want to change or update, we can do that, but get it adapted, and then we can roll it out. So, thank you.
I don't know if there's any questions or anything I wanted to answer before.
So maybe a question for the administration and Tavish. So assume that you just finished up all the appropriate training. What do you feel the adoption rate from the teachers is today? Assuming that you just finished all the appropriate training. Is it 50%, 90%?
I would say it's probably up there, probably 80% or so that are already, some of the younger teachers obviously have no problem. They just flew with this and they went with it right away. Even the older teachers, right away, Mr. Appleton came in and he was like, I don't want this change or whatever. And, he wasn't being negative at all, but he was just concerned. And we talked to him about it. Some of the teachers also talked about like, oh, what if they go Target and stuff? And it's like, well, what if they don't bring their book to class? And what do you do then? And again, we're not the first school to do it. So this has all been addressed. We just need to get our staff trained and knowing it. I would say that easily 80% are not going to have a problem with this. And maybe that's a little high, I guess, but I don't think it'll be that much of a problem.
And I would just add to that, we've been spending some professional development time on it already, and I think that's raised the comfort level of the teachers a lot. One of the younger teachers we talked about who's been at another school, new to our school this year, but she did a lot of this at her former school, and our next early release, she's going to present some ideas to the high school staff as well. So I think the more we get into this, the more comfort there is. I think the real advantage beyond some of what he's already talked about is we can keep our teachers' curriculum much more modern. You buy a textbook and as soon as it gets here, it's already out of date. This will allow teachers to be right on the cutting edge with whatever's new, whatever's out there. So I think to answer your question, it's a slow process. There's going to be some apprehension for a while, but the more they work with it, the more comfortable they get. I would consider myself one of those dinosaurs, but I'm starting to get more comfortable all the time.
And we did talk about like with applicants. It's not like we're saying that you got to get a Chromebook out and you can't teach.
Right.
Teach it now.
It's just an option. It's not how you have to roll.
It's an option, and yeah, exactly. And just to get them, we don't want them to say no to things, we want them to try things, so. I think it's been going great, doing the professional development, and, I mean, we're not, no one's gonna be blinded when they come into school next year, they're gonna be prepared, which is awesome, we've been doing a good job of that.
And for those that it's a growth process too, they can phase that in. Like you said, you don't have to, we're not switching everything about how you do. You know, as you're comfortable, you add this and you add this and you add this. So some people hit the ground running almost entirely off the Chromebook, and others will do a little bit here and a little bit there and gradually use more and more as they're comfortable.
And we have a great staff, I mean, we have people in
Awesome.
elementary and secondary, and there's always someone who knows a little bit more or use it, and they're always willing to help the other teachers, and we have I mean, that's something that is nice to see, that we always have, Bogle, I always say, Bogle, can you help this? And then she's always willing to help, so.
And I think we're already ahead of the game. The teachers who were apprehensive after we had St. Clair come in and talk after, COVID, we've been mapping for a long time, and I showed Dustin some of what they're already doing. They're already ahead of the game. They're just nervous. Anything new, any change is always nervous. So I think they're sitting pretty well, and they even asked if they could go over and watch it in action in St. Clair for apprehensive teachers. So they're hopping into it more than I thought they would. So it was a good direction.
Every question that I got in front of the staff and talked to them, answered some questions. Every question that they had, I had 17 years ago when we first introduced it at St. Clair. It was identical. So I understood their apprehension, and I think one of the things that I emphasized was we need to train the staff. We need to get them comfortable, or this is gonna fall like a rock. And I think Tavish and Scott, Dave, Alyssa have done an incredible job of getting that comfort level to all the teachers.
Anything else, Tavish? One last thing. What do you need? What kind of lead time are you looking like you need for a decision on us to do this?
Basically, so either way, I can order devices, and it's just a matter of how we distribute them. So we can, I mean, no matter what, we're going to do very much the same thing. It's just how, if I say, hey, we're taking them home now versus putting them in carts. So not much will be changed. So plenty of time. Obviously, for the summer, I need to be able to work on it and get it going. So you have until then at least.
To order the new ones, you want to get those ordered.
Yeah, I've already ordered Chromebooks, so the Chromebooks are gonna be coming, and we need to order them anyway, so that's whether we go one-to-one with them or whether we keep them in cards, so that won't affect that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to section 6 of our regular board meeting here, old business, number 1, SAC wraparound proposal.
Yeah, you heard at the work session, Amber gave a great presentation on what's going on. You know from the community survey that was submitted that a lot of comments and such were the school needs to raise activity fees, raise ticket fees, raise more revenue from within the school district. And the community wants to see that. The wraparound program offers that an opportunity to do that. I think Amber gave a wonderful presentation, is ready to move forward with that proposal. You can do a few things today. You can have another discussion and table it. You can vote yes, you can vote no, or you don't have to do a thing and then nothing happens with it. But I do want to remind you that if the operating levy that we will be going for does not pass, chances are we will be cutting positions, and preschool will be one on the order of being brought up to be cut, whether it's one position or the entire program. So this is an opportunity to solidify some of that money and establish at least, I don't think you're going to break even in preschool, but you get a lot closer by doing the wraparound and having that there. Preschool is not funded. It's all done through tuition and then backfilled through the general fund. So we do not get revenue out from the state for the school free. And it won't be an everyday, all day preschool. It's mornings, afternoons, and then they're going to that aftercare. So
Thoughts from the group?
I guess my opinion, after looking at all the different aspects of wraparound care, I don't think that it's been given enough thought, as far as who it affects, what it's actually going to do for the school, as far as if it's going to be helpful, other than the projected income coming in. There's always more expenses that come from it. We're either taking it from somewhere else to, it's not a cut and dry thing for me. I think we have an amazing resource in this community that, as a school district, we need to work on that more. I don't think that I don't think this is the right time for it.
Anyone else have any for discussion on this?
I guess the only thing I have to add, Nancy, I agree with majority of what Nancy's feelings are too. But I think I need a little more time to kind of discuss some of the options, and my suggestion would be to table it to a further date.
I'd agree with that. I think there's more, I think we could utilize a lot more information, utilize our community resources, and make sure that we are ready for whatever would bring, what is the negative effects it could have and the positive effects. I also think utilizing and being respectful of our community is also a big part of this.
I guess I'd echo the same. I guess, going through this, there's obvious benefits to having our own wraparound care program. But I think there's also obvious benefits looking at the amount of kids that the center in town brings in to our town that probably wouldn't be if it wasn't for that. I guess with that, I would look for a motion to state the direction of those who, if tabling is what we want to do, or if we want to strike it down for now, or just let it go, I would look for a motion.
Hey, Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I just wanted to maybe jump in quick. I kind of felt like Kate's, timeline of where we started and when we came to, was pretty helpful, and maybe just wanted to interject a few thoughts about, how we got to where we, are today as to looking at the program. I think, Kate's comments did a good job summarizing kind of how it's gone in the past couple of years. And, there was a point in time where we didn't have any space to even potentially think about this, right? And so I think that was partly, what's changed, or what the school board was trying to weigh is, in the context of having a little more space, having a new SAC coordinator, and Amber, who's, put a lot of effort into the program and has a lot of pride in it, combined with, what you said, Dustin, to begin with, about trying to make sure we're using resources appropriately. And if there's a way to generate some revenue, from a program that helps eliminate some of that deficit, it's our responsibility to look at it. So I think, that's kind of important context too, as to, it didn't just pop up out of the blue, and there's been a lot of thought into it. But I also agree with all of you, and I think that it's going to take some more thought as to if, or, when, or it can be or should be executed, kind of based on all the feedback we've all heard. So I guess, like I said, if there's a motion to table or wait, or have a committee, or do something different in the meantime to see if there's opportunity, I think we probably have some questions we can discuss between the groups too, to come to the right conclusion. So thanks.
Thanks, Scott. For a motion in the direction, or if we want to just let it go and table it and not take any action on it, I'd look for that.
I'll make a motion to, let the issue fall and, develop, so whatever, to make up a committee to work with people in the community to find a better solution.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any more discussion on this topic, on the direction or on that motion? Just so everyone's clear, the motion is that we are not tabling, we are not saying yes or no, we are making a motion for a different direction to involve people from within the school, school board, admin, people within the school in the SAC program, and the people in the community. Is that what we're agreeing to? Okay. With that, I would say all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. For a second.
Thank you.
Okay, on to our next topic, section 6.2, preschool playground installation. Oh, yeah.
Just wanted to keep that on your radar. We talked about it at the work session. They are coming down to install on the 9th and 10th, and just want to make sure that people know that it is happening.
Do we have to have anything, I can't remember from one session, do we have to have anything ready by then? Or do they?
We'll have to take out the ties and the fencing. They will do all the other stuff. We have to haul the chips and any dirt away that's needed.
Okay. So is that all set up to be taken care of before the 9th?
Yeah.
Okay, good on that topic? Next topic, operating levy for discussion.
We talked about the community survey. I said that I would put together a presentation, threw it out to the community as a result. So basically the results were go after another levy at $750. So I'm asking for an informal approval of $750 for an operating levy, which then I can in turn start the process of talking to the lawyer and getting the proper paperwork and resolutions and wordage of what that all entails. And then come back in June with a formal resolution with that operating levy. That makes sense.
Okay, any more discussion on that? We're all good with the informally going forward with the $750?
Yeah.
And then you want a motion and a second on that, or is it good enough?
Either way. Yeah, I talked to him today and they said you can do it just informal, a formal resolution, but you're doing the true formal resolution in June.
I think we can move forward from here.
Yeah. Okay. All right, next topic of old business, softball coaching realignment.
Except we, due to Rich's duties as an AD, it kind of took him away from the softball program more than he had anticipated. So we did a realignment with the coaching, with the current staff, just shuffled the staff a little bit, moved April up to the head coach position because she's available and can be there every day for practices. Matt will be an assistant and Rich will be an assistant.
Discussion on that? Look for a motion to approve these changes.
Make a motion to approve the softball changes.
Nancy made a motion, looking for a second.
I'll second.
Kevin second. All in favor, say aye. Against? Motion carries. Next topic, fiscal year 2025 revised budget.
Yeah, this is throughout the course of the year, you revise the budget as you go, as different things arise. The preliminary budget is on the bottom, the current revised budget, and I guarantee if we went in there today and looked at it, it'd be different than what you're seeing in front of you. But you see some of those funds, revenues increased, expenditures decreased, expenditures increased, and revenue decreased. That's just the ebb and flow of how education works. With some of those, we get a lump sum at the end of the year and that changes it completely. So we do know that part of the special ed revenue that we had budgeted or thought was coming in is not. And part of that, or all of that, is due to the lag in funding with special ed. So it's always at least a year behind. And it's based off of what we spent last year, which wasn't as much as what we anticipated to spend this year. So we didn't get that actual revenue to cover all costs and then backfill. And then next year you may get more revenue than what you projected, and it kind of goes back and forth. And that's the frustrating part of special ed funding part. A lot of frustration with special ed funding, but that's part of it, is it's always lagging at least a year behind. And you don't get fully reimbursed for all your expenses in special ed. So,
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions on the revised budget? We're looking for a motion to approve the revised budget as presented.
I'll make a motion to accept the revised budget.
Any made motion?
I'll second.
Now a second. Any further discussion? We'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, 7.1, non-renewals of non-tenured teachers. So you all have this in your board packets, the documents regarding that. So all this will work as we look for a motion in a second if that happens, and then we will go on a resolution on a person-by-person basis. Each one individually. Yeah, each individually. So the first one we'll be voting on is the non-renewal contract for Lucy Nicolay.
I'll make a motion to, and introduce the following resolution of the non-renewal of Lucy Nicolay.
Nancy made a motion.
I will second
Andy second. Here we'll do a roll call vote. Vote your yay or nay. Andy?
Yay.
Nancy?
Yeah.
Ryan? Yay. Kevin?
Yeah.
Molly?
Yeah.
Motion passed. Moving on to the next. This will be the resolution to move to non-renew Jordan Elias. Any discussion on that? Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to introduce a non-renewal of Jordan Elias.
Nancy made a motion. There a second?
Hey Ryan, this is Scott. I'm still here. Sorry I missed the last one, but I'll second it.
Okay. Scott, a second. Okay, going to a roll call vote. So Andy? Yay. Nancy?
Yeah.
Ryan? Yay. Kevin?
Yay.
Molly?
Yeah.
Scott?
Yay.
Motion passed. Third one, this will be, looking to make a motion for, the resolution to honor New Madison Schuster. There's no discussion around this. I'd be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to introduce the non-renewal of Madison Schuster.
Nancy made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Kevin second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Andy?
Okay.
Nancy?
Yeah.
Ryan? Yay. Kevin?
Yay.
And Molly?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Motion passed. Okay. Give a minute. Okay, next order of business, it's, number 3, roof repairs.
Talked about the issues that we're having with some of the roofs, repairs that need to be done. We have 2 quotes there. One from Jackson and one from McPhillips. I would recommend accepting McPhillips at about, what is it, 16,000? 16,500 to do the necessary roof repairs this summer.
Any discussion around this topic? We talked about it at our work session kind of at length on what needs to be done. Any discussion on this topic? Now I look for a motion to go ahead and approve the selection of the McPhillips Brothers Roofing Co. to fix the roofing issues that we have.
I'll make the motion to approve them for the Phillips.
Kevin made a motion.
I'll second
Any second? Any further discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next order of business, work comp SFM quote.
Pretty self-explanatory. We have to put money aside for workers' comp every year, and then this is based on the estimates that they figure out on, past experiences and things that potentially could arise. And they estimate how much we should set aside and put that in there. You have to guide. There isn't much wiggle room for anything like that.
Feel like this is up or down on the past.
I think it's a little bit up, but I think just about every time you do workman's comp, unless you have a huge number of claims, it naturally goes up a little bit with the cost of everything. So we're fortunate we don't have a ton of claims in this district.
Yeah. Discussion on this. I look for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the work down from SFM quote.
Andy made a motion.
I'll second.
Kevin second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next order of business, health insurance.
Yep, you have to go out every so often to get health insurance quotes. We had Medica and Keith submit quotes for the health insurance plans for our group. It's then taken to the work groups and they're filling it, and they actually make the determination on which plan you want to use moving forward. And they chose to stick with Medica because it was the better option out of the two. And that's where that quote comes from.
So this comes back to us from the teacher, the individual.
Yes, they have their input and their discussion. Not something that we dictate.
Make a motion to accept the health insurance renewal.
Nancy made a motion.
I'll second.
Molly second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, last order of new business, we have a couple maternity leaves to approve. First one would be for Emily Alvaro, 3rd grade. Clara Lynch, 2nd grade. Congratulations. first of all.
I will make a motion to accept the maternity leave requests for both Clara Lynch and Emily Overham. We're bringing more Clippers.
Nancy made a motion. Do we have a second? Kevin second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, item 8.0, item discussion, board member reports.
Embed, you guys got a tour of the Embed building last week. Saw some of the destruction that is caused, by the students that are there and some of the fixes that have already been done. So I think that helps put things into perspective as to when I say we need to spend more money on this stuff, that's kind of where it's coming from.
You're right, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Board-wise, everything is going well. The numbers have increased a little bit the last couple weeks. New students coming in. Plans are in the work for summer school. The remodel will start as soon as the equipment or the supplies come in, and hopefully be done by the first week of August, so that we'll be ready for next school year. Negotiations committee met, and we would like to, we heard back from,
Yeah, so we had, so Dustin had heard back from the negotiations committee of the schools and the teacher union side.
Yes.
On kind of what their thoughts are. I guess we'd like to meet with them sometime quite soon so we can get a ballpark feel for what they're looking at, because we got to do some budget work here coming up. You know, not that we have to agree on anything at the first meeting, but it would be kind of nice to at least get a feel for direction on how this is going to work, so we can plan accordingly to pass the budget here in June.
Yes, it's unfortunately in the situation we're in, we don't have all the time or a lot of stuff, so.
At least a preliminary meeting would be good to at least know what we need to plan for from a budget standpoint with that group. Okay, any more board member reports? Principal's report.
Sure. So FFA had an Earth Day cleanup on the 22nd. The SAD, Students Against Destructive Decisions, hosted a blood drive on the 23rd. Mr. Roberts led that, the SAD students. Mrs. Gibbs is taken over the MCA testing, done a great job of shuffling people around to make test time longer. So thank you for your hard work on that.
Yeah, the state FFA convention is going on right now, and we've got 10 students attending that. Ms. Schuster and Ms. Eel are taking care of that. And it looks like the student council for the elementary is planning to do a dance for the young kids, 5th and 6th graders, May 2nd.
Prom's May 3rd at 7.
Spring Jazz coming up Monday, May 5th.
Then the band concert at 7 on May 5th.
And the 6th graders do a shadow day every year. So that's coming up May 9th, where they'll get a feel for what it's like to be a 7th grader in high school. And the National Honor Society is doing their induction ceremony at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, the 13th of May.
Music concert for elementary is Friday, May 16th at 1. Then kind of getting into this, the class structures we'll share out tonight for elementary. Preschool, again, with low numbers, we're going to start out 2, but we'll possibly move to 1. If we have 18 again in the morning, we'll shift one of the teachers around. Kindergarten, we're going to go with 2 teachers. First grade, we're going to do the 2 teachers in a combo. Second grade will be 2 teachers in a combo. Third grade will be 2 sections. Fourth grade will be 3. Fifth will be 3, and 6th will be 2 sections.
So, part again, Scott.
Preschool's 2 to start out with, possibly 1 if we have under 20. Kindergarten, we're going with 2. First grade will be 2 with a combo teacher. Second grade will be 2 with a combo teacher. Third grade will be 2 teachers. Fourth grade will be 3 teachers. Fifth grade will be 3 teachers. And sixth grade will be 2 teachers. That's at 17 we decided.
And that's the same, breakdown that we shared with. With you.
Then there's a jazz concert Saturday, May 17th at Valley Fair. That's about all we have.
Is the band concert, music concerts all being streamed?
We'll talk to Tavish, we'll get that, or Rich, one of the two, they have that streaming, yep. Streaming.
Perfect. Thank you. Still been planning on doing something similar like last year, sending out who the kids' teacher is at the end of this year.
That's the plan, so tomorrow we'll send out all the information, so yes, we're, yeah.
So one thing I had talked to Justin about, and maybe Fred Cowley and I talked, but I've had a request from a few different parents in passing that, knowing that the end of the school year is coming up, and it gets crazy busy around here with events, and different things going on, which is fantastic. It was asked from a couple different families, maybe it would be nice if we could get a schedule on, an elementary 1-pager of, hey, here's top 8 things that are going on over the next 6 weeks, or whatever that looks like from now to the end of the year. I think would be tremendous for families to plan a little bit, get some info to some grandparents, or whatever that looks like for everybody.
Yeah, and we did talk about that. Rich was part of the conversation, Tavish, Alyssa, I think, was part of the conversation. Our plan is to get all that information on the activity team. We didn't want to send that, we're not gonna put field trips on the activity just for fear of what potentially is out there. Those will just go directly home from the classroom teachers, but that's the plan. I think we've shot out an email to everyone to get dates and stuff out. Did we do that last year?
Yeah, we'll do it again just to make sure, but we talked to just the one stop would probably be the best for that, so
It makes sense, just so it's somewhere.
yeah. We'll definitely make sure they're all on there, and even putting out like for public events, just make those flyers that we do for Panda and put them out there for everything, just get them out there, like you said, get it early so they know when it is, and make that happen for like, the concert and the talent show, things like that are open to the public.
I do know some people in the community don't feel that communication goes out as much as they would like, but I will tell you right now, the communication that's put out there in social media and such from Cleveland does circles around pretty much any school out there right now. We don't realize that because we're here. We don't see anything else, but Tavish, Alyssa, do an incredible job. We shoot them something and it's out before I think I can even shut off close down the email, they get it out there so quickly. So we're very fortunate.
Well, most people that don't have Facebook or those types of things, I mean, the website is constantly updated too, so that's nice that,
They've done a fantastic job of interlinking everything together. So,
Yeah, thanks for that report. Transportation Director.
Yes, so, last week we had our state inspections. State Patrol comes in once a year scheduled, goes through all of the vans, all of the school buses, and then also goes over any records that they feel they want to check on. It's not a compliance check. It's not you're doing it wrong or you're doing a bad job. It's you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. So we were fine in records for what they wanted to look at this time. Maintenance wise, all the vans passed, all the buses passed. I did have one bus that had a burned out